My name is Melanie Bodette. I am actually French-Canadian. I've been living in Bali for 5 years now, which seems so short and yet so long when I say it out loud. I'm super excited to be sharing with you today all things nervous system. I kind of use the title of the nervous system rewirer. It's been a passion of mine to help people heal their nervous system after learning a lot about trauma, the polyvagal theory. I was a licensed therapist back in the day, and then learning trauma and how the body holds the stress kind of led me in a different path where now I use more somatics and movement and different modalities like breathwork to really help retune their nervous system. So today I'll be diving in about all of this. It also really affects your success as a leader. So first thing I'll start with is the dysregulated state. So understanding when your nervous system is out of balance. And I thought I'd start off with this because a lot of people don't realize, men and women, that they are in this functional freeze state. And they kind of move forward in life with symptoms like, for example, like stomach issues or irregular bouts of energy. And this is really, I think, fascinating because people can be really in this like high success state, even if they're in this like functional freeze. So I'm gonna break it down today so that you can better understand if maybe this is you, if this is something that you're dealing with, so that you can really dive into how to heal the nervous system so that you can still be an achieving person, but move away from this dysregulation. So signs of dysregulation, and I want to differentiate between emotions and a dysregulated nervous system. A dysregulated nervous system is somebody that sees through a lens of threat. They kind of go about just moving through a fear-based mindset because the nervous system is attuned to seeing everything as a threat. Dysregulated emotion is basically being human and having emotions, right? Sometimes when we are too stressed, for example, that dysregulation might be higher, but ultimately the way that the lenses that you wear is one of seeing the world through like possibilities rather than seeing others and situations as a lack of. I think it's really important to differentiate these two things before we dive into how this might be affecting you. So when you are in a functional freeze state, it's typically one that is a dysregulated nervous system. And what happens is the nervous system stays stuck in this dorsal state, and it can never move out of it. So a healthy nervous system, ideally, you should be able to move up and move down, and it kind of supports you in whatever task or situations that you're in. When you're dysregulated, the system cannot move up and down freely. It kind of stays stuck in certain states. So with the functional freeze, it's this state of being, you function and you can still be achieving, but there's a lot of symptoms that show up, like I was saying, stomach issues or the sleep or high sensitivity or inability to like focus properly. And this is where my work comes in, where like I help people kind of move out of that. And often I would say that this would be my second point, is like the root cause is a few things that will create this dysregulation. Most of the time I would say for people is it's a long-term programming or where typically the person has experienced a lot of, I'm going to use the word trauma, which is a bit of a trigger, but ultimately it's like survival stress, right? Like when you've experienced a lot of stress, especially as in your childhood, then you end up more into these like states of survival, these like really like these dorsal states, which I'm going to explain later what dorsal is, but just for now, I'm kind of moving through this. So for example, when you're a child, and this is, it's not the mother's fault at all, but in Canada, for example, when you are born, the doctor used to say to the parents, if your child is crying, let them cry it out. And that seemed like a good idea at the time, like train your baby to not cry by letting it soothe itself. Now we understand that we don't have the parts of the brain as a child to be able to understand the situation. So what happens is your brain goes into this shutdown dorsal. And so when you have had this programming from a long time as a child, then it's just more likely for your system to go there. Experiencing any other types of trauma or stress, like even bullying or like any kind of like abuse, will create the system to go into this sort of like state. And I would say nowadays, like in the now time, I would say how people keep themselves dysregulated is more so with things like diet culture. And like, I know that it's important to feel good in your skin, but I think the diet culture often will create a lot of dysregulation, because ultimately it teaches us to move away from listening to our body, from listening to our hunger cues, from listening to the cues of what our body craves, what it needs. And that goes beyond also where if you're not listening to your sleep, if you need to sleep, if you're pushing yourself, exercising too much, especially with women, depending on where you are in your cycle, the kind of hormones you'll have, like supporting that rather than going against that. Just like a disconnection of the body will create a lot of dysregulation and will create more stress in the body. So often what happens with trauma is every time you experience a trauma, especially as a child, is you have to self-abandon yourself so that you can stay safe in the environment. And the more you've had to do this as a kid, then when you become an adult, that pattern of self-abandoning, not listening to yourself, it becomes normalized in a way. And that energy can even transpire in pushing yourself to being high achieving, and being high achieving is something to be celebrated. It's amazing that, you know, we can do the things that we can do and really like push forward. However, I think it's important to recognize what is the fuel driving that force forward. Is it coming from a misattunement to self, this survival response, or is it coming from alignment? Like, this is my passion, and passion is your fuel for driving forward. And if it's passion, then that's amazing. You need to use that fuel and push forward. But if it's dysregulation, I would suggest to be mindful of that, because that can really lead to burnout. And once you're into burnout, it's even harder to come back into regulation of the nervous system. So as I said before in the beginning, I'm a certified polyvagal, I would say therapist. The polyvagal theory is really interesting because it really teaches us about our nervous system, which is our survival response. So mostly with this podcast, I wanted to explain the polyvagal ladder, and because it's our survival response, whether we want to or not, it will affect us. And the more we can understand how our physiology affects our psychology, then we can better work with ourselves rather than against ourselves, or even worse, when it's your body driving the bus because it's in survival response. So our bodies, our nervous system is always biased at keeping us safe. It's always, whether we want to or not, scanning the environment. That is called neuroception. It's scanning the environment. Are we safe or are we not safe? That is a biological imperative. It's going to happen whether we want to or not. The other thing that our nervous system does is it changes states. So you might go into this parasympathetic, which is more this like rest digest, or this sympathetic tone, this like mobilizing energy, which is more what you need to go to the gym, do things, get up in the morning. And a lot of people think the sympathetic is bad because it's known as like the fight or flight, and like that is the survival response of it. But the side that you do need is this mobilizing energy. Now there's a third branch that most people don't know about, which I spoke about before, which is the dorsal state of the parasympathetic. And this is the state that slows you down, goes into immobilization, but to the point of immobilization where it's a survival response, as in if you were stuck in nature and you didn't have a lot of resources in your body, so that you could survive for longer. So this is where the metabolism shuts down, the digestion slows down a lot, you don't have a lot of energy, and it's a great survival response if you're stuck in nature. Now, when our nervous system gets stuck there, that is when it becomes more, I'm going to say, an issue, because none of these states are bad. It's just bad when the nervous system is chronically stuck there. So it's normal to go into dorsal, and going into dorsal isn't bad, but when you are chronically stuck there, this is when it can become more of an issue. And this is the thing with our nervous system, is we don't get to choose when it goes down, we don't get to choose when it goes up. We can help facilitate the assistance of these states, which is why learning about them is super powerful. But when it goes into dorsal, especially like chronic dorsal, which is this like shutdown, this functional freeze that I was talking about before, this is when it becomes problematic long term, mostly because we want to have access to our brain, we want to be able to remember, we want to be able to have a stomach that functions properly, or sleep to be proper. If you sleep, that you do feel rested. So these are all kind of like the symptoms that show up, and so these are the parts that it's out of our control that are going to happen whether we want to or not. So understanding that your body is always scanning, are we safe, are we not safe? It always goes up and down the ladder. That's the ladder of your nervous system, meaning like into the different states. That's out of our control. And the other thing is this co-regulation. And this is, I think, really fascinating, and why it's so important to surround yourself with people that you feel safe with and that uplift you. Because whether we want to or not, we are connecting into them, into our nervous system, into their nervous system with our nervous system. And so this co-regulation, this is why sometimes maybe you have that friend, or sometimes it's not even a person, it might be a pet or a place. We can even co-regulate with nature, but I'll just speak with people for now, and our pets, because they're all mammals and they have nervous system. It's that person that you are with, and almost immediately you feel this sort of like, this relaxation. And this can be with your pet as well. And I think for a lot of us, including myself, like my dogs are really this home base where I just feel so much love. And if I felt stressed, I will feel way less stressed by the end of the day just by coming to my loving pets. So these are the these three categories of the nervous system that will happen whether you want to or not. This is why, as a high achieving woman, it's so important who you choose to surround yourself with, and to be in the company of women that want to support you, that want the best for you, that can hold the space for you when you feel dysregulated, that you can also provide that same kind of like support, because together we really rise. And the more that you can have that group of women that really can help you grow and expand. And just by even hanging out and being around them, that will influence who you are. There was actually really cool studies, like even done with pets and dogs. And if there's a dog that is dysregulated, stuck in anger, whatnot, if you put them in a pack of dogs that is well behaved, it will really help change their behavior. And that's just like at a survival, at animalistic perspective. So imagine what it does to us as humans when we have our cognitive mind, the ability to really like integrate and push forward. So don't underestimate your group of friends to really help support your nervous system. And together, it's like people say like, I want to change the world. I say, yeah, like, if you want to change the world, tune your nervous system to feel safe, to feel empowered, to be growth orientated, because that will naturally affect the people around you. When you are grounded in yourself, when your nervous system is tuned properly, the dysregulation around you does not affect you. So the success connection, how regulation impacts performance and growth, is really about that. Is first recognizing what is driving your force. And sometimes survival is needed. That energy to figure it out is so important. And I'm sure I'm not the first one to relate to using that energy to pull you forward. It's okay to be in that state of like, I'm gonna push forward because of this. I need to figure it out. And that's a great place to be. And at some point, you have to step out of that, because that will only get you so far. The survival response will get you to the first beginning steps. But if you want to push outside of that, then you need to move into regulation, because only in regulation can you move into aspects of your brain that can ground into self-worth, that can ground into deserving, empowerment. And I'm not going to speak about chakras today too much, except I will say, like, when you are in the survival response, you're more into the first three base chakras, which are responded to survival. So if you really want to move forward into accessing other parts of your brain, accessing your intuition, really, pardon my cough, really these aspects of your mission in life, or what you are here to do, you have to move beyond the survival. And this is where taking care of yourself, taking care of your nervous system, retuning your nervous system to not see survival, to not see others as threat, to not see life as something challenging, but rather as an opportunity. And I do recognize that it's quite a privilege to be able to go there, because if you are in a survival response, for example, you don't have a lot of resources, you're in an environment that's not conducive to growth, it's really, really, really challenging to retune your nervous system, because you are in a survival response. So if you have the privilege now to have access to financial stability, an environment that is relatively calm, then if you want your business to grow more and to grow beyond where your edges are, this is where you start to move out of survival and into safety. And safety is really where the magic happens. And you might even surprise yourself and meet parts of yourself that you didn't even know were there. And this work can really be done. It takes time. It takes time to retune the nervous system, but there are ways to do it. And I would say the main one, if I were to give you like top 3 things to start that you can implement right away, it's really the ability to, and it's very challenging, slow down. Because when you're moving from a space of survival response, this mobilization, this like go, 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 I need to survive, otherwise I'm not going to make money, otherwise I won't be successful, this chatter, right? This part of our brain that we can all recognize. Then we're retuning the nervous system to do more of that. So a good way to take breaks and to slow down is actions that you would typically do, like washing the dishes. Like, how fast do you wash the dishes? Like, let me just get the dishes done, let me just sweep this. And rather adding a few minutes to it and taking your time, slowing it down. If you're washing the dishes, feeling the water, feeling the glass. And you'll notice in the beginning, your brain's gonna make all the excuses, like, this is so boring, because it's so used to moving forward. And this is when you should even more recognize, like, oh, okay, I need to do this even more. I need to slow down. Even making your bed, how you eat. All of these things that we do, brushing the teeth, that sometimes we just kind of like continue on with this fast energy. So save the mobilizing energy for when you need to do your work, and when you're not doing your work, send signals of your nervous system to slow down. Slow down how you eat. Slow down how you do the dishes. Slow down how you make the bed. Slow down how you drive. Slow down how you do all of the other things. So then you can teach the nervous system to go up, and you can teach the nervous system to go down. And I kind of spoke about it at the beginning of this chat, but I would say, like, the second step is retuning to your signals, your hunger signals. That is like one of the big ones that will lead to more dysregulation. And so really honoring when your body's saying, hey, I'm hungry, taking a snack, eating the snack slowly, needing to go to the bathroom. I know a lot of people are very bad at, like, you have that pee signal, you're like, I need to go, and then you'll just hold it a little bit longer. So every time we do this, we're disconnecting, we're self-abandoning. So rather now, as soon as your body gives you a signal, you can take a pause, take your breath. If connecting to the body, putting a hand on the belly, on the chest, just like, okay, thanks body for giving me that signal, and then doing the thing, like, okay, I need to go to the bathroom. And if you have the luxury of listening to your sleep signals and getting into a good sleep pattern, that will do a lot to regulation, because this is really where we repair ourselves, where everything shifts over, we integrate everything that we've been trying to implement. And I mean good sleep, like cold room if you can. I like a heavy blanket. That really helps the nervous system to tune down, to feel, it's like a little safety. Ideally no lights, blackout. And for women, like, if you can give yourself 8 hours or 9 hours, even better. That will really make a huge difference. And the third thing is becoming more aware of the people that you surround yourself with. Making an effort to, if you are going to hang out with, for example, a friend that needs more support, it's not about banning your friends, but rather it's attuning to yourself and really deciding, like, okay, what kind of energy do I have right now? Will I be self-abandoning? Am I too tired by going to hang out with these friends? Would they help me feel more charged or less charged? And really starting to discern when you have the ability to be the charger or when you need to be charged into people, and starting to discern that so that you can recharge your battery when you need to, and you can charge into somebody else when you need to. And in a healthy ecosystem, essentially, like healthy co-regulation, we're always exchanging. Sometimes we tune into people, sometimes they tune into us. So really taking time to journal and discerning, like, who are these people for me? Who am I for those people? And getting clear on those dynamics, because co-regulation is real and neuroception will happen whether we want to or not. So we might as well plug into people that make us feel safe. The safer we can feel, the more we can reclaim that part of ourselves, the more the nervous system will retune naturally. A lot of this work is really about rebuilding our relationship to ourselves, coming back into the body, And the more we can come back into the body, rebuilding this relationship, the safer we feel. The safer we feel, the more success we can find. So this is my hopefully not too heady chat on the nervous system. If you're interested in learning more, or you're noticing these symptoms within yourself and you want help with that, please reach out. I'm super passionate about this. I use different modalities. There's not a tool for a person, so this work is very specialized and unique to you. Every nervous system is different. You can go ahead and try the tools that I've already shared, and you might find a lot of success with that. And if you'd like to learn more and really change your system at a cellular level, then please send me a message and I'd be happy to share more. I offer a 5-week program and a 3-month holistic program that really helps to shift and give you all of the tools so you can have long-lasting healing. The last thing we want is a vagus nerve stimulation tool. That stuff is okay, but a lot of these like tools that you're just using to self-soothe, they're just band-aids. And band-aids are great, and we need band-aids sometimes, but if you really, really want to heal your nervous system so that you don't need to have all of the things in line so that you don't feel dysregulated, then this is where you want to heal at a cellular level, at really like the foundation of your nervous system, which is more than just a few tools. So yeah, please reach out. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions or whatnot, feel free to send me a message.